I had seen something of this Sicilian side of Sinatra last summer at Jilly's saloon in New York, which was the only other time I'd gotten a close view of him prior to this night in this California club. Jilly's, which is on West 52nd Street in Manhattan, is where Sinatra drinks whenever he's in New York, and there's a special chair reserved for him in the back room against the wall that nobody else may use. When he's occupying it, seated behind a long table flanked by his closest New York friends, who include the saloon keeper Jilly Rizzo and Jilly's azure-haired wife, Honey, who's known as the Blue Jew, a rather strange ritualistic scene develops. That night, dozens of people, some of them casual friends of Sinatra's, some mere acquaintances, some neither, appeared outside of Jilly's saloon. They approached it like a shrine. They had come to pay respect. They were from New York, Brooklyn, Atlantic City, Hoboken. They were old actors, young actors, former prize fighters, tired trumpet players, politicians, a boy with a cane. There was a fat lady who said she remembered Sinatra when he used to throw the Jersey Observer onto her front porch in 1933. There were middle-aged couples who said they had heard Sinatra sing at the Rustic Cabin in 1938, and we knew then that he really had it. Or they had heard him when he was with Harry James's band in 1939, or with Tommy Dorsey in 1941. Or they remembered that time at the Paramount with the Swooners and him with those bow ties, the voice. And one woman remembered that awful boy she knew then, Alexander Derogopitz, an 18-year-old heckler who had thrown a tomato at Sinatra, and the Bobby Soxers in the balcony had tried to flail him to death. Whatever became of Alexander Derogopitz, the lady did not know. And they remembered when Sinatra was a failure and sang trash like Mersey Dotes, and they remembered his comeback. And on this night they were all standing outside Jilly's saloon, dozens of them, but they couldn't get in. So some of them left, but most of them stayed, hoping that they soon might be able to push or wedge their way into Jilly's between the elbows and backsides of the men drinking 3 deep at the bar. And they might be able to peek through and see him sitting back there. This is all they really wanted. They wanted to see him. And for a few moments they gazed in silence through the smoke and they stared. Then they turned, fought their way out of the bar, went home. Some of Sinatra's close friends, all of whom are known to the men guarding Jilly's door, do manage to get an escort into the back room. But once they're there, they too must fend for themselves. On the particular evening, Frank Gifford, the former football player, got only 7 yards in 3 tries. Others who had somehow been close enough to shake Sinatra's hand didn't shake it. Instead, they just touched him on the shoulder or sleeve, or they merely stood close enough for him to see them. And after he'd given them a wink of recognition or a wave or a nod, or called out their names, he had a fantastic memory for first names. They would then turn and leave. They had checked in. They had paid their respects. And as I watched this ritualistic scene, I got the impression that Frank Sinatra was dwelling simultaneously in 2 worlds that were not contemporary. On the one hand, he's the swinger, as he is when talking and joking with Sammy Davis Jr., Richard Conte, Liza Minnelli, Bernie Massey, or any of the other show business people who get to sit at the table. On the other, as when he's nodding or waving to his paisanos who are close to him, Al Savani, a boxing manager who works with Sinatra's film company, Dominic DeBona, his wardrobe man, Ed Pucci, a 300-pound former football lineman who's his aide-de-camp. Frank Sinatra is Il Padrone. Or better still, he's in what traditional Sicily have long been called uomini rispettati, men of respect, men who are both majestic and humble, men who are loved by all and are very generous by nature, men whose hands are kissed as they walk from village to village, men who would personally go out of their way to redress a wrong.